who is here with the newspapers. Deepti, you are starting in Spain, where the firing of the head of the intelligence chief is dominating the papers. That comes after a phone hacking scandal.
Well, that phone hacking scandal erupted after the Israeli-based Pegasus phone hacking software was found on the phones of Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, 2 other ministers, and 18 Catalan separatists. Paz Esteban, she's the first woman to head the CNI intelligence agency. She's been with the agency for 40 years. Well, she's sort of become collateral damage in the wake of the scandal. She's now been fired. ABC, a right-leaning newspaper, wrote that the Ministry of Defense really sacrificed Esteban to save the Prime Minister, who's been facing accusations of not doing enough to curb these security threats. Last week, Esteban did admit that her service spied on pro-Catalan separatists, but that it was done legally in accordance with the courts. For the daily Spanish paper El País, well, their editors today saying that Esteban's firing is also the clearest sign by the Sanchez government of a gesture towards pro-Catalan independentists, because allegations that members of the pro-Catalan ERC party were also targeted in this phone hacking scandal prompted the party to withdraw its support for the socialist-led government.
All right, Deepti, you're going to stay with El País for this next story. In El Salvador, a woman has been sentenced to 30 years in prison for a miscarriage.
That's right. It's part of the country's really draconian abortion laws. A woman who spent 2 years in preventive detention was finally sentenced to 30 years in prison. El País quotes Salvadorian activist groups which say the woman had to terminate her pregnancy because of a health emergency and the fact that she didn't receive proper care to deal with that issue during her pregnancy. Anyway, this all fell on deaf ears at the prosecutor's office. The country's abortion laws forbid abortion in all cases, even when the mother's health is at risk. Abortion entails prison terms of at least 8 years for homicide and up to 50 years for aggravated homicide.
Yeah, one of the results of those extreme laws, U.S. Papers should take note of that story today. U.S. lawmakers, rather. Deepti, lots of focus on the planet as well in today's papers. You're going to start by telling us about the drought here in France.
That's right. It's on the front page of Libération today. They have announced that the drought has arrived on its front page. Low rainfall, drying groundwater reserves. Alison, France is expected to have summer-like temperatures over the next week. Libération says there are ways to fight the drought, but it requires, quote, true political will. Au boulot, it says on its front page, a clever play on words. Au boulot meaning get to work, but also eau meaning water.
From a dry France, Deepti, to a drying Great Barrier Reef, a new report confirms yet another mass coral bleaching episode.
That's right. Higher water temperatures have led to the 6th mass coral bleaching of the Great Barrier Reef, according to its marine authority. They released a report on Tuesday. It's the 4th since 2016, this 4th mass coral bleaching since 2016. Worryingly, it actually happened during the La Nina phenomenon, which is typically when you get cooler temperatures, so that's definitely not a good sign. It's why John Shine, he's the president of the Australian Academy for Science. Well, he pens a really interesting article in the academic website The Conversation today. He slams the lack of, quote, serious national dialogue concerning climate change in the current Australian election campaign. He also criticizes the country's dwindling investment in research and development, saying, really, this is so crucial. Science can help us deal with the, quote, known but also unknown challenges of the 21st century.
All right, Deepti, we're going back to drought for this next story out of Las Vegas, where a persistent drought has seen its reservoirs like Lake Mead drying up.
And in drying up, Lake Mead has revealed some chilling findings, Alison, according to the Times of London. Last week, a barrel containing skeletal remains were found by boaters. Police say that it's a man likely killed by gunfire in the mid-70s and early 80s. Indeed, Las Vegas was founded as a gambling mecca by gangsters, and it's believed that the mob actually used Lake Mead as a site for dumping bodies. A former Las Vegas mayor who also represented some of those high-profile mob figures says his former clients are interested in, quote, climate control, keeping the lake full so the bodies do not resurface.
Intriguing. All right, finally from you, Deepti. The color pink has come out of the shadows to claim its moment in the spotlight. We have Barbie pink, we have fuchsia pink, we have fairy floss pink, which I had not heard of. I know champagne pink.
Yeah, there's also champagne pink, salmon pink, I guess. But it appears that like the brighter the pink, the better. I mean, look at this image here. That's Daniel Craig in a fantastic fuchsia pink suit. Pink is apparently the new color of the season, at least according to the Telegraph. Pink lipstick, pink blush, pink outfits, pink hair, apparently. Apparently, Valentino's creative director, Pierpaolo Piccioli, is partly responsible for this because every look from his last show was dripping head to toe in pink. And there's also a psychology behind pink. It's an uplifting color. It's cheerful. It's warm. It's nurturing. Studies show that even if you wear pink, it actually makes you kinder towards other people. So it seems like everyone's craving a bit of kindness and gentleness in this world right now. And best of all, it's actually a very flattering color. It looks good on all skin tones. And what's interesting is pink is often obviously associated with girls and blue is associated with boys. But you'll be surprised to know that back in the 19th century, it was quite the opposite. Pink was seen as a very strong masculine color, commonly associated with men.
Oh, interesting. And now it's making a comeback. Deepti, I'm convinced maybe I'll wear pink tomorrow.
Me too.
Deepti Guillerand with today's papers. Time for us to take a quick break on the program, but stay with us here on France 24.